Hearty welcome to all the third semester students. My name is A. Srinivas. I am an assistant professor of English, presently working at Government Degree College Sciences, Hyderabad, and this college is accredited with B grade by NAC. In the last class, we studied the topic expansion of proverb. It is prescribed for third semester and it carries 10 marks. So today we'll continue with the same topic. We'll take some more exercises and try to answer them. Well, let's do a quick recap of what expansion of proverb is. First, let us know the meaning of proverb. Proverb in the last class we learned that is a short, well-known statement or a famous statement which is prevalent in day-to-day life, which is used in day-to-day life. And this short and well-known statement gives a practical piece of advice about life, or it contains a moral sometimes. And we also studied how to expand this particular proverb. Any proverb can be expanded with the help of the following hints. First, try to understand the implied meaning of the given proverb and try to understand the context of the proverb. Sometimes you may have to, or it is always better to add a brief story or an anecdote or live examples to illustrate the proverb. These things we have already learnt in the previous video lecture, and sometimes you can also use similar quotations or ideas which reflect the given proverb. And finally, towards the end of the passage which you are writing, you are trying to expand the proverb, you have to sum up the paragraph by writing an appropriate concluding remark. So sometimes moral is given and you have to try to elaborate that moral from the proverb. So these are some of the points you have to remember, which we have already learned in the previous video class. So let us continue with the some other points which help you to expand the proverb. So what you have to do is you have to understand the implied meaning and context, and you have to add a story or anecdote or a live example, and you have to identify the central idea of the passage, central idea of the proverb. So these things will help you to expand the proverb into a passage. Today we'll continue the topic expansion of proverb. In the last class we looked at one exercise and we tried to expand the proverb that is given in the exercise. Today let us take another exercise, and here you can see on the text one proverb is given, and the proverb is slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race is a very popular proverb that is highly applicable in our day-to-day lives. You often hear this proverb in our day-to-day life. So first what you have to do is you have to understand the meaning of the proverb, the implied meaning, and the context in which the proverb is used. These things you have to understand. And you can write the origin of the proverb also. You can write the origin of the proverb if you know the origin. Otherwise you can avoid it. And you can use a brief story or anecdote and live examples from our day-to-day life. So these are some of the things you have to keep in mind while attempting this exercise, that is the expansion of proverb. So here, slow and steady wins the race. What is the meaning of this proverb? You have to understand first the actual meaning. See, any race is won by, any competition is won by the one who continues well. First, let us read the answer, that is the expansion of the proverb, and then we'll try to decode the answer. So let me read the answer first for you, and how later we can understand how it is expanded. It's a very popular proverb that is highly applicable in our day-to-day lives. So you know that it's a very popular proverb and highly applicable. That is, you can apply it in our day-to-day lives. And this proverb reminds us of a simple story about a hare and a tortoise. So this story is known to all of us. There was a hare which challenged the tortoise to a competition. It invited. The hare goes to tortoise. Hare is proud of her capabilities of running a quick race. So one day it goes to a tortoise and challenges and invites the tortoise to a race. So this story is, we have already studied in our childhood, and it contains a moral, and this moral is given as a proverb here. This moral is, the proverb is the result of the moral that we have drawn from the story. Slow and steady wins the race. So is originally found in a fable, is a moral story. Fable means attributed to the legendary Greek storyteller Aesop. So this story is basically found in, usually found in Aesop's fables. Aesop's fables. So in Aesop's fables, you will find a number of morals, and the morals are actually used as proverbs in our day-to-day life. Very useful, very applicable morals. The sluggish tortoise was teased into entering a race by the swift-footed hare. So one day, the tortoise was invited by the hare to a race, entering into a race, because hare thinks that it is swifter than the tortoise, and it is contemptuous of tortoise. It looks down upon tortoise abilities of running a race. It knows that tortoise generally cannot win or cannot run as fast as itself. Knowing that the limits of tortoise, knowing well that the tortoise cannot run the race, it knows the limitations of tortoise. In spite of that, it goes to the tortoise and invites it into a race. So we know that what happened. We know what happened in the end. As we all know, the tortoise is persistent in its endeavor, and to reach the finish line eventually defeated the hare. We know how the story progresses. The hare runs the race very fast because it knows that it can easily defeat tortoise. But what happens is it runs very fast, and when it looks back in the middle of the race, the tortoise is found nowhere. So it thinks that, let me take rest, because by the time the tortoise comes, I can wake up and very easily reach the finish line. It goes into a slumber and completely forgets the race. And the tortoise slowly but steadily continues its march, its race, and finally reaches the finish line first. Before hare. By the time hare opens its eyes, it finds that tortoise is the winner. So you can see This particular story is very famous, and from this story we got this proverb. So this proverb indicates, what do we learn from the proverb? It indicates that uninterrupted and sincere hard work is a key to reach the goal. So what is key to reach a particular goal in our life? Uninterrupted efforts. They may be very small efforts, but daily, if you continue with those efforts, you will certainly reach the goal. Sincere hard work, uninterrupted, sincere hard work. These are the things which are required for the achievement of a goal. It is applicable. How is it applicable? To the life of the students also, not only for general people at large, but it is also applicable to a student as well, because we are talking about the students, and it is the students who are the future of a particular nation, and they very much require to understand the meaning of this proverb and implement it, because it is very much applicable to their life. The students who are regular and work with determination can climb the ladder of success. Students who are regular, what counts is not the quantity. It may not be too big. Every day you make an attempt, do some work, and little bit of improvement each day, and with determination. If you do a little bit of improvement daily with some determination, you can certainly climb the ladder of success. That is what meant by the passage, this line. Next, it says that to win the race, everybody has to work hard, steadily, with will and dedication. Steadiness, steadfast in our goal. You have to every day do some, it may be half an hour, 1 hour, but try to study daily. Whatever your goal is, try to work in that direction. It may be very small. One day you may get half an hour, another day you will get 1 hour, another day you get 2 or 3 hours. But daily, if you keep on working, depending upon your facilities, if you keep on working, certainly you will achieve your goal. Dedication is more important. Determination is important. And finally, you know that consistency and continuity. These are the two words which are very much important. Consistency and continuity are more important than inconsistency and irregularity. Many students start. Some people may be having starting trouble, but many students start working, start studying. But what happens is, they start working in the direction of their goal. But what happens is, after some time, they give up. After some time, they stop working. So their improvement is stopped. You start in a big bang manner. One day you get up, you decide. Every New Year, on the New Year's Day, every year, many students, many people write resolutions. They make new resolutions. From this year onwards, I will wake up early. From this year onwards, I will spend some time on improving my skills, knowledge. So every year, resolutions are written. But how many resolutions are achieved at the end of the year? What kind of progress we have done at the end of the year? If you continue regularly, I am sure you will achieve some kind of progress in the direction of your goal. You start in a big bang manner. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, you work very hard. You study the first few days of New Year. But immediately after the first month, you give up. Because you don't have the consistency. You don't have the continuity. If you don't have consistency and continuity, what happens is you will not be able to achieve your goal. Like the hair is lost, we will also be lost. Like will remain hairs most of our lives. In most of our lives, many hairs are there, but what is important is consistency, like the tortoise. Consistency and continuity and regularity similar to tortoise. So success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out, says Robert Collier. This is the conclusion of the passage. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Every day you keep on repeating. Repetition, revision, consistency, continuity, regularity, all these are important. That is what Robert Collier's quotation says. How do you succeed? Not in a big bang manner, not in like irregularity or inconsistency. What is required is a sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out, every day. One day you work for half an hour, the other day you can work for 1 hour. But continuity is important, consistency is important, regularity is important. That is what this proverb says. So here you can see how this particular proverb is expanded into a beautiful passage. So what is important is you need to understand the central idea of the passage. If you know the origin of the story, because in this passage you can see origin of this proverb is given in 3-4 lines. Aesop's fables is the origin. Hare and the tortoise, that is the origin. So that story is given, and in the second part of slide, that is this, in this slide you can see how this particular proverb is applicable to us, how this proverb is useful to us, and how we can implement, adapt this particular proverb to our lives is given in the second slide. So I hope and the conclusion is given by a quotation. You can use quotations, similar quotations which reflect the theme and the central idea of the passage. You can explain, you can use in the conclusion also. Right, now let us take another proverb. And what is the proverb? That is, all that glitters is not gold. All that glitters is not gold. In Telugu, there is a similar proverb which means the same. That is, మెరిసేదంతా బంగారం కాదు. మెరిసేదంతా బంగారం కాదు. బంగారం మెరుస్తుంది, కానీ అన్ని మెరుపులు బంగారం కాదు. మెరిసేదంతా బంగారం కాదు. సో దీని అర్థం ఏంటి అంటే, ముందు అసలు ఇది ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చింది అనేది తెలుసుకోవచ్చు మనం. ఫస్ట్ విల్ ట్రై టు నో in the expansion of the proverb. If you know the origin, you have to write. And what is the origin of this particular proverb? It is actually the growth of literature, Shakespeare's literature. So proverbs, quite often proverbs are drawn from famous works of literature. So a famous work of literature by Shakespeare, the Merchant of Venice. From this particular play, this proverb originated. This is taken into, it has become a part of English language. All that glitters is not gold is a proverb used in or written by William Shakespeare in the play Merchant of Venice. So this is the origin, and let us try to understand the meaning in this slide. It means that, the proverb means that outward appearances may sometimes be deceptive. For instance, gold is a very precious metal with an attractive glittering appearance. It does not mean, however, that everything that glitters like gold should be precious or valuable. There are some paltry things that look like gold, but it is not wise to evaluate their value on the basis of that. So in this slide you can see the meaning, the central idea is explained. The meaning of the proverb is explained, is given. And what is the meaning? Outward appearances may sometimes be very deceptive. Outward appearance. These days, you see in the world, people give value to outward appearance. The dress, the apparel, the other kind of beauty, outward beauty, external beauty, physical beauty, that is what given importance. But many a time you see outward appearances deceive you. Outwardly a person may be looking shining bright. He looks very fine outwardly, but inside that person, his heart is not so good, not so positive. His heart is evil natured. So often we come across people whose appearances, outward appearances are very attractive. But if you wait, if you think for some time, or if some time is passed, you will come to know their evil nature, their bad nature, their negative nature. So don't go by the outward appearances. It is often said that beauty is skin deep. Beauty is skin deep. It's not just physical. It's actually psychological. In heart, beauty is related to heart. So gold is often is a very precious metal, costly and precious, and given lot of value, valuable precious metal. One of the reasons for its value and preciousness is that its glittering appearance. Its appearance is glittering, shining, bright. So it says that, proverb says that everything that glitters is not gold. Is not gold means it should not be. Everything that glitters like gold should be precious or valuable. But there are some trivial things, paltry things that look like gold. Everything, gold glitters. Gold is precious and valuable, but there are some things which look like gold, which are similar. Rolled gold. These days people wear rolled gold ornaments. So they are not gold. They are not pure. They are not as precious as the gold. They are not as valuable as the gold. They give you glittering appearance. They glitter like gold. They are bright as gold, but they are not gold, pure gold. The purity is missing. So it's not wise to evaluate. Is it wise to evaluate the value on the basis of glitter? No. Is it wise to evaluate the value of a particular thing on the basis of outward appearance? No. So that is what it says, that it's not wise to estimate the value on the basis of the outward glitter, outward appearance. On the other hand, objects that look shabby often have great value in real life. So many a time we know that in our life, many things that are shabby, that is their outward appearance is not deceptive. Their outward appearance is very ordinary outward appearance. They are not attractive to look at. So such things have great value in real life. You can count any number of things. A person, it can be a person, it can be a thing. A book may not shine as bright as gold, but a book contains lot of knowledge. It contains nuggets of wisdom. A book written by a great personality. So book is more valuable, though it doesn't shine like gold. It's more valuable, more precious than gold. particularly for a student. So this saying is also applicable to human beings. How? A person may be good looking, a person may be good looking, but he may be rather inefficient at work he does. So most of the times what happens is good looking persons may not be able to work as hard, as efficient as the other person, a person who looks very sharp. So don't go by the looks, don't be deceived by the looks. A person who spends lot of time on good looking often may not be able to work hard. A person who spends lot of time in makeup, when will he have how can he develop his skills? He won't have the time to become efficient. He spends lot of time in makeup only, in dressing. See, he is all the time concerned about his outward appearance, not inward appearance, inward skills, inward values, inward values. So there are chances that he may be unscrupulous too, unscrupulous persons, evil-minded persons. We have come across all these things, all these persons. So it is essential to judge anyone based on his or her real abilities, not on their external appearance. So judgment should be on the basis of efficiency, on the basis of real qualities, real abilities, not fake, bogus, duplicate external appearance. Okay. So most of the great and let us take one example here in this passage. In this slide you can see the one example is given, a living example. Most of the great and well-known people are humble. They don't have great outward appearance, attractive appearance. So one shining example is, one appropriate example is the president, a former president of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So his appearance was not as attractive as a cinema hero, but he was a real hero. He gave India pride by his work. He made India proud. He made all the Indians proud by his work. He was very efficient in his work. Till the last breath, he worked for the development of India. He was always concerned about the development of India and Indians. So, though his appearance is not as attractive as some hero, he was a real hero, and he was worshipped and he was praised by each and every Indian. So such people are known for their achievements and contributions. So President of India, former President of India, Abdul Kalam, is known for his achievement, is known for his contribution to society and country, not for his physical appearance. Nobody bothers about the physical appearance. They are beyond the outward appearance. And physical is always impermanent, temporary. It will one day, it will vanish. What remains is the values, the contributions, the achievements. So hence the proverb implies that analysis of people's abilities based on outwardly appearance is useless. So let us not do this mistake, that is, let us not analyze people's abilities based on outward appearance. It is useless. Okay. So hope you have you have learned how to expand the proverb with these examples. So far we have covered three exercises. The first one in the last class, what was the first one? Failures are the stepping stones to success. That was the first one. Today, second one is slow and steady wins the race. And just now we have finished the third one, that is all that glitters is not gold. So you have seen how proverbs are expanded. So can we revise and try to look at the all these proverbs once again so that we remember some of the points? What are the things you have to keep in mind while expanding the proverb? The first thing is you have to understand the implied meaning. You have to understand the implied meaning and the context. You have to read the passage, try to understand the meaning that is there in the passage and the context, and a brief story or anecdote or live example. In this passage, for example, all that glitters is not gold. One example is given, that is of Dr. Our former president APJ Abdul Kalam. In the previous failures are the stepping stones, I gave you two examples. That is Abraham Lincoln, former president of America, and Thomas Alva Edison, who invented bulb. So different examples of famous personalities, and from your life also you can give. And use of if it is possible, establish the association between the idea and the meaning. That is, try to establish a kind of relation between the idea meaning of the proverb and to your examples, and try to identify the object at the center of the saying. What kind of meaning it, central idea, you have to understand the central idea. And sometimes what you do is use similar quotations or ideas. For example, in today's exercise we have used one quotation towards the conclusion of the paragraph, and try to sum up the paragraph. Finally, what you do is try to sum up the paragraph, and if there is a moral, try to elaborate on the moral of the proverb. These are the things you have to keep in mind while expanding the proverb. So today we have seen exercise 2, and that is slow and steady wins the race, and exercise 3, all that glitters is not gold. What we'll do is we'll try to revise the second and third once again so that you remember easily. And this second exercise, if you go back to the second exercise, slow and steady wins the race, is a proverb and highly applicable to our day-to-day lives, and it reminds us of a simple story. And what is the story? I hope you know the story, the hare and the tortoise. And this story, who is the writer of this story? It is often attributed to the legendary Greek storyteller Aesop. That is, it is found in Aesop's Fables. Is one of the famous stories in Aesop's Fables. And here what happens is the origin is given, origin of the story. The tortoise was invited, teased into entering a race, running race, by the swift-footed hare. That is, hare is proud of her swiftness, and it is contemptuous, looks down upon tortoise because it goes very slow, it walks very slow at a slow pace. So finally we know that who is the winner. As we all know, the tortoise, who is persistent in its endeavor, in its attempt, in its work, it reaches the finish line, eventually defeats the hare. Hare is defeated finally because hare is not consistent, whereas the tortoise, though runs very slowly, is consistent. So what happens is a consistent tortoise wins, an inconsistent, irregular hare is defeated in this story. So in the same way, this proverb is very much applicable to our lives. How is it applicable? It says that, it means that uninterrupted and sincere hard work is the key. It is applicable to the life of the students as well. There is students who are regular, and work with determination can climb the ladder of success. Am I right or not? Is it correct or not? The person, the student who works very hard, who works with determination, can climb the ladder of success. Every day you try to climb the ladder, you fall off. Or some days it becomes very difficult, but still you keep on trying to climb the ladder. Finally, you reach the final rung of the ladder. Final rung of the ladder. So reach the success, you reach the goal. So to win the race, what is required is steadfastness, steady, regularity, consistency, continuity. These are more important than inconsistent effort. One day you work very hard, the other day you sleep. You don't work. That's not correct. Every day, it may be very little, but you have to put in efforts, little by little, step by step. 1,000 miles journey, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Every day you progress by your small steps. So success, inconsistent and irregularity are not that important. Continuity, consistency are important. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out, says Robert Collier. Robert Collier says that, this is a quotation by Robert Collier, and by this quotation we have concluded the passage. An appropriate conclusion is given. And what is the meaning of the proverb? Sum of small efforts, that is every day you make small effort, some kind of little bit of progress. Repeated, revision, repetition, it emphasizes repetition, revision, small efforts, but every day, day in and day out. It may be small, it may be for half an hour, it may be for 1 hour, but keep on working, keep on reading, keep on studying. One day you will be the winner. That is what Robert Collier says, and that is what this proverb says. And another exercise is, all that glitters is not gold. You have to expand this. Already we have studied. All that glitters is not gold. And what is the origin of this? Before we attempt the meaning of the proverb, let us know the origin. Quite often, proverbs are drawn from famous works of literature. Literature is the source of a number of proverbs, and moral stories are the source of a number of proverbs. Our day-to-day lives are the source of the culture, the community is the source of a number of proverbs. So proverbs have different sources. It may be literature, it may be moral stories, it may be the community, it may be the cultural practices. So this proverb, all that glitters is not gold, is taken from a it is the outcome of a literary work. This one, for example, originated as a dialogue in William Shakespeare's play The Merchant of Venice. So in this play, in a particular dialogue, Shakespeare uses this sentence, this catchy sentence. It contains a practical piece of advice. All that glitters is not gold. In subsequent centuries, it has become a part of the English language and very often used. And what is the meaning of this proverb? Outward appearances may sometimes be deceptive. For instance, gold is a very precious metal with an attractive glittering appearance. Gold is a very precious metal with an attractive glittering appearance. We all know that. The preciousness and glittering quality of gold we know. It doesn't mean, however, that everything that glitters like gold should be precious or valuable. It doesn't mean that all glittering objects are as precious or as valuable as gold. No, it doesn't mean that. There are some paltry things. There are some things which are not as glittering as gold, but It is not wise to evaluate their value on the basis of the glittering appearance. On the other hand, objects that look shabby often have great value in real life. On the other hand, objects that look shabby often have great value in real life. Paltry objects, objects whose outward appearance is not that attractive, not so attractive. They have great, sometimes they may have great value in real life. And this saying is applicable to human beings also, not just objects. Here gold is the object, but it can also be applied to human beings. A person may be good looking, outward appearance is good, but he may be rather inefficient at what he does. That is not as efficient as he is thought to be. People take things for granted. Just by looking at a person's appearance, people may conclude that he is very efficient. No, not often, not necessary, not always. There are chances that he may be unscrupulous too, corrupt. He may be corrupt, morally degraded. His morals may be weak, his values very negative values. He doesn't have noble values. He may be having ignoble values. So it is essential to judge anyone based on his or her abilities, not on their external appearance. People should not be estimated. People should not be judged on the basis of their external appearance, but the real abilities should be taken into consideration while judging a person. Most of the great and well-known people are humble. One example is given, like former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. You can give any other example also. There are many simple, humble people who are very worthy, very valuable, who have made valuable contributions to society and to the country. They are known for their contributions, not for their physical appearance. They are known for their real work. Hence, this proverb implies that analysis of people's abilities based on outwardly appearance is useless, is waste, is not correct. That is, analyzing a person's abilities, estimating, judging a person's abilities just on the basis of external appearance, just on the basis of outwardly appearance, just on the basis of the shiny, bright looks, is not correct. It will often lead to wrong judgment. So, in the next class, what we'll do is we'll look at some more proverbs and their meanings, because which proverb is given in the examination is not known. We cannot know which proverb is given, because there are an endless number of proverbs. A number of proverbs are there which are very well known and very frequently used in our day-to-day life. So which proverb comes in the examination, nobody knows. What we have to do is, at least we have gone through the 3 examples so far. We have looked at how to expand those proverbs, and in the next class what we'll do is we'll take some more proverbs, and this time we won't try to expand the proverb into a full passage. We'll just look at the meaning, because if you know the meaning of the proverb, you can do the expansion. You can give an example, a living example from day-to-day life, or you can talk about a great personality, or you can take examples from mythology, and you can you can use quotations. You can talk about the origin if you know the origin of that proverb. So once you know the meaning of the proverb, you can easily expand it into a passage. So in the next class what we'll do is we'll take some proverbs and try to know the meanings of those proverbs. Hope you have enjoyed today's story. In the next class, we'll come up with the same topic, and keep learning. Have a nice day. Bye for now. This is Srinivas signing off.